Hello and welcome to our webinar. My name's Mimi Nicklin and I am the CEO of Freedm. We are an agency that specializes in marketing and creative strategy for selling out real estate projects all around the world. Today, we want to share with you some of our learnings, our insight, and our passion about why it is the small details that really sell out tall towers, why it is that small details matter to sales. We have clients all over the world, and what we have learned is that when you focus on the small, the important, the really specific, you can move from good to great, to marketing that impacts your pricing strategy, your speed of sale, your competitiveness, and how you stand out in market. We've seen firsthand with projects from all over the region and the world that it truly is the attention to detail that shifts perception, that changes how many brokers turn up to your launch events and how quickly buyers are willing to choose your product over somebody else's. So thank you for joining us. Sit back. We're going to take about 20 minutes to take you through some of these learnings around details, marketing strategy, and ultimately the role of creativity in selling out real estate. Let's start with the imagination. To imagine the unimaginable is to know you have already won. As a developer, you have huge amounts of passion for your project. You can imagine it. You know where it's going. You've spent days, weeks, months, sometimes years planning your tower or your project. You know the master plan, you know the floor plans, you know what the furniture is going to look like. You imagine the fittings or the amenities. But for others, they're not there yet. You are one step ahead because you are imagining something that doesn't yet exist. And that is what's critical in creativity in the real estate industry, is to recognize that what you're selling doesn't exist yet. It is in your mind. It perhaps is in the ground. You may have some foundations there. But when it comes to the buyers and the brokers, often in off-plan, this doesn't exist yet. Many of our clients come to us at the very beginning of the process. They don't even have a name, let alone a marketing strategy to get this tower or project off the ground. So whether that's a penthouse, a villa, a multi-purpose living space, or a new tower, an apartment block, or a multi-use environment, we need to create that dream. We need to turn imagination into reality to sell at speed. There are three parts of really using the imagination: intrigue, experience, and desire or desirability. In marketing, we have to create all three. We have to balance the intrigue to what you're bringing to the market, what truly makes you different, even if the product is quite similar. We need to create an experience to enable buyers and brokers to step into the reality ahead of this product that you're creating, this building or home that you have envisioned. And then, of course, we need to create desire. It is that desire that allows us to drive the speed of sale, to revolutionize real estate marketing return. And what I mean by that is to ensure that not only your money is well spent, but the resources, the time, the overall investment has a higher return by impacting how and the speed of what and where you sell. Marketing in the real estate industry is not just about the brochure or the final content. It's about the full communication cycle. How you speak to brokers, how you launch, where you launch, when you launch, how you use materials on different platforms, how you create design that tells a story, how you name a building. And I'm going to talk to you about all of those today. The real foundation for this entire discussion sits in details. Details change perceptions. So if you look at this image that's on the screen right now, whether you notice the sort of well-recognized fabric on her trousers, the detail of her ring, perhaps the wooden paneling in the background, all of these tiny details are creating a perception in your mind. They make you feel something about this image. They give you an assumption that this is perhaps on the luxury end of a piece of advertising. It is the details that change the way our brain processes. This is the connection to consumer psychology. This is how we build stories in the mind of people that we want to buy. The details change not only how we feel and what we want to buy, but also how much we're willing to spend. Our decisions are over 80% emotional, including in our industry when we're making huge ticket item decisions. So the details really matter. Consider Chanel, for example. The detail of the Chanel logo, the colors, the way it's represented, literally changes its value. When you see the Chanel sign outside of a store, it changes how much you're willing to spend, how long you want to stay in the store, whether you want to enter at all, whether you feel that environment is for you or perhaps for somebody else. Details change value, they change perception, and they change the way we purchase. So let's look at 4 different ways that we can use details in our creative marketing strategy in the real estate industry. The first is to create desire. I touched on that just now. How do you create a world that people want to step into? A building that people want to purchase, a competitive offer that people are willing to really consider. Today, I'm going to use examples from our own work at Freedm, at our agency, but also from others to give you a selection of case studies and examples of work. Now, this one is ours. This is for Oceano. This is a luxury residences in Ras Al Khaimah in the United Arab Emirates. So this is another emirate close to Dubai. Given this was a very luxury building, you can see top right there, some of the shape of the building, very unique architecture, very stylish, beautifully finished, hugely luxurious. The design that we created here really did start from the tiniest of details. If you have a look at the logo right there in the center, you can see the E and the A are literally connected in a wave, because we wanted to ensure that we communicate from the minute you see the name that this is an ocean-facing product, that this project is sitting on the oceans of Ras Al Khaimah, and all of the continuation of that comes through the design. You can see those small details come to life in the brochure, in the way the box is created, that sort of ribbing in the material of the box, super luxurious, in the way the digital assets on the cell phone or on the laptop come to life, in the layouts. So this brand identity creation began with the tiny details to ensure that from the minute you consume the brand, you understand what you're purchasing, you understand where this product sits amongst the competitive landscape out there in the world. The second one of the 4, when we're looking at taking those details, those designs further, sits in living or lifestyle. You have to sell living and not a home, not a product. As I've said, over 80% of our purchase decisions are emotional. You need to sell a lifestyle. People need to imagine stepping into that room, into that front door, into that foyer or lobby. People are there to truly imagine themselves living in your space, the space that you are creating. And a lot of that starts with the renders. Now, many of our clients come to us just a little bit too late and we have to work around it. But we tell all of our clients, you need to come to your agency or your creative partner early. You need to ensure that your renders are part of your storytelling. Because to sell the lifestyle, to sell the dream, you have to be able to imagine the dream. And gone are the days when sort of average flat renders will cut it. Today, renders are so photorealistic that you often cannot tell the difference. When we talk about how we create that lifestyle, we start from the beginning of that storytelling to the end. Now, this is an example here of Society House. The reason I put it up is because this is one of the projects we named. So we are talking about starting literally at day 0, at the foundational level. When this client, IGO, came to us and asked us to help them sell this tower, we had to begin with a name. It was for a new tower in downtown Dubai, which is relatively cluttered. And whilst the product is beautiful and it's a phenomenal concept, fantastic architecture, great amenities, beautiful design, we knew that in a market like Dubai, which is on fire right now, we needed to stand out. The name Society House does that. First of all, the word society creates a membership, creates a feeling of inclusion, creates that opportunity to be part of something. The use of house is very unique because we didn't say tower, for example. So Society House is really sort of reminiscent of that kind of members club environment that we wanted to create in this tower. We wanted these apartments to be truly for like-minded people that are looking for a pied-à-terre in downtown Dubai, while they're perhaps on business or travel. And we really wanted to create that in the feeling from the very minute you consumed the brand. So when you're talking about selling living, you have to start with the name, because fundamentally that is what people are going to buy into and remember. But once you have the name, as I mentioned earlier, we have to look at how we begin to create meaning to that name, truly bring it to life. And that's where the renders are so important. As I said, gone are the days when these can just sort of be done in a couple of weeks and rolled out by the architects. Nowadays, these renders are being done by specialized CGI render houses. Previously, people were using their architects, and architects do some beautiful work, but often not enough of the lifestyle comes through. So when you look at this render on the screen, you can see all kinds of detail that are truly bringing this to life. So you can imagine walking into the room, whether it's the reflection of the glass, you can see the hills sort of behind reflecting in the glass, or the shadows on the chairs, on each other and on the floor, or the way the water is slightly in movement on the swimming pool. I want to play you a short video from a partner that we work with on these renders to really show you some of the examples of how we can really begin to create stories, focus on the details when we do renders really, really well. What you can see here is how those details are coming to life, how the lights are shining, how the shadows are moving, how the elevator shafts are shifting. This allows you to imagine yourself really stepping into each of those environments. So the second theme that we're going to look at today is around demand, design that drives demand. We are, of course, in the world of sales. The whole reason we do this is to sell out your product, your tower, your penthouse. So in this section, I want to look a little bit at design and how we really use that. Not all design is created equal. A brochure is not just a brochure. You have a couple of samples of our work here where you're beginning to see the trends from points 1 and 2 come together. The story is coming through. We're using design to create a lifestyle. We're ensuring that our renders are brought to life in a way that you can imagine stepping into. The example I want to show you here is for Mancio. Mancio is one of the Palm Jumeirah's most distinguished addresses, but it wasn't always known to be as such. This work has recently won the best real estate marketing in the Middle East, something we're very proud of. The creation of this brand, similar to Society House, started with the naming. This was a product, a set of apartments in a wider hotel. We needed to ensure that we created an identity that truly enabled it to stand out. We came up with the name Mancio, and all of the design that you can see on the page in front of you is part of bringing that to life. Vibrant colors, the use of gold, lots of pattern to really create that upmarket Palm Jumeirah lifestyle. By creating this story, we truly enable people to really think differently about the product, to not just recognize the hotel from within which it was based, but that Mancio itself was a brand, a real estate product that people wanted to engage in, experience, and ultimately purchase. We sold out 62% in the first week of launch with our partners at the DevMark Group, who specialize on sales strategy. And a huge amount of that success was said to be connected to the marketing, because we created a story, we created a product, we created an offer that people wanted to come and see and purchase and be part of. I want to show you here the film that went along with this piece of marketing, because a huge amount of creating desire has to come through moving medium, through the audiovisual world. Design is never just above the static. So have a look here at the film that we created to bring this work to life in a new way that created energy and passion and virability as people shared this all around the city to really encourage people to want to come and purchase this product versus anything else on the market at the time.
I'm sorry, I do not remember ordering a glass of your opinion. I'm sorry, I forgot the expert in all things me. It's you. My apologies.
design assets coming through in the fonts and the titles and the colors of that film, but the language, the linguistic tone that brings those colors and patterns to life. You'll see there was a message right in the middle that said, why on earth would you be anywhere else? Okay, you're trying to create a story, design language that pulls people in. It doesn't just tell them what the product is. It certainly doesn't just show them renders, although they're important. It layers onto that visual language and identity that enables you to create that desire. Even the music choice just makes you want to hear more. The final example is also some work we did, which was for the Ritz-Carlton residences in Dubai. I just wanted to show this because many of our clients come to us with global brands that they're able to leverage, and using that design to create that desire is just as important when you have a branded residence than it is when you're creating a brand and naming it from scratch. In fact, often you have to work a little bit harder because the Ritz-Carlton, for example, will have all of its own brand guidelines and rules and regulations from around the world and the global brand team. So here is an example of how we did that with Ritz-Carlton. Again, the quality of print, the way the bags come together, the type of papers you use, the way you experience. Remember the second of those three: intrigue, experience, desire. You have to be able to experience the Ritz-Carlton residences. It's not enough to just take their logo globally and put it on local materials. You have to uphold the brand. That luxury experience has to come through in every single touch point. So the last one of the four is to tell stories. Once you've established the lifestyle, once you've begun to create the desire, how do you tell stories that not only work to drive your launch or your relaunch, but communication over time, so that your brand is actually traveling around the city and is on the lips of all of the brokers all of the time? I want to show you an example now for one single penthouse. So this was just one penthouse in a tower, and we needed to sell it. And it was priced at one of the highest price tags in the city. So take a look at this and specifically take note of the titles and the storytelling. You will notice from very early on that this apartment has been named and is positioned as a female, okay, as a woman. So instead of talking about the penthouse at said tower, instead, we did our naming strategy process and we narrowed it down and called this penthouse the Duchess. We wanted the whole city to be talking about the Duchess. Who is the Duchess? Where is it? What's for sale? What's the price tag? Have you heard there's a new Duchess in town? Have a look what we did with the storytelling and the film. So you see there how we created the story of the Duchess. The copy there said things like, she's gracious and grand. She lives above all else, or so she says, right? The language draws you in. She, the penthouse, is a story amongst itself. When you need to create desire, demand, interest for one of the most expensive penthouses in the city, you can't just tell them we've got another penthouse on sale today, right? Because there are so many out there. So this film truly enabled us to stand out in the market, to create that intrigue, that desire, to really provoke those very top end of brokers who specialize in this area to inquire, to want to bring their clients, to understand that the Duchess was from a whole sort of status of its own. I want to show you one more here that truly brings storytelling to life, but in a very different way. Take a look at this.
The greatest joy of being an architect, or the moment that gives you the most, I think, reward, is when that platform is installed and you're able to climb a stair and stand on that level that wasn't there 30 days ago and say, we've created something. My name is Giampiero Pugliese. I'm the principal of Audax Architecture. Our whole philosophy of design is pretty clear. It's basically the idea of what I call human architecture. It's really finding a way to find the balance between traditional architecture and our contemporary sensibilities. My goal is to try to do architecture that fits in the continuum.
So I'm going to move on from there. If you would like the whole video, do just get in touch with me and I will send that to you. But I wanted to show it to you because it's a totally different type of film from the Duchess that you saw beforehand. In that one, you're seeing the architects themselves sell the story. They're enabling you to step into their mindset. Where did the design come from? What is the concept for this building? How was it born? Quite literally seeing the sketches. They're enabling both the buyers, the brokers, the investors to truly feel a connection and emotional engagement to the product they are creating, which goes far beyond just putting the logo of a famous architect on a page, but actually allowing a voice from the people that created the product that you're selling. So of those 4 that you saw today, which really focused on desire, creating living, using design to drive direct demand, and telling stories that sell fast, we were fundamentally talking to this: imagination. You have to provoke the imagination of your buyers and your brokers if you want to increase your price tag, sell out fast, and compete in a very, very buoyant market. There are many options out there. If you want to stand ahead, again, it is not just about sending out an email or a WhatsApp and a very average broker that's a PDF, very average brochure that's a PDF, and just hoping that people will respond to it. Storytelling takes time, it takes craft, and it takes detail. It is those details that drive your intrigue, your experience, your desire, and ultimately enable you to revolutionize that real estate marketing return that you are looking for. So thank you for joining us today and being in this webinar, looking at how those small details really do sell out tall towers and all the products in between. You can find me at mimi@findfreedom.com, and I'm very willing to talk to you about how some of these trends and approaches might be relevant to your product, to your offer. How do we really embrace the power of imagination, of design, of experience, to position your product out in the market, to sell it fast, to create a higher value equation and perception for your market so that you can stand out and sell? Do come and say hello. Find us at www.findfreedom.com or all over Instagram at findfreedom. It's been an absolute pleasure seeing you here today, and I really hope to speak to many of you again soon.